Welcome, gents. The most dangerous minds are the ones you cannot predict. When people talk about intelligence, they usually picture books, grades, or flashy words. But the intelligence of a Sigma male is something entirely different. It is not about showing off or proving who is smarter in the room. It is about the ability to see what others miss, to read between the lines, and to stay 3 steps ahead without announcing it. That is what makes it truly terrifying. You may have always felt different from others. Maybe you do not blend into crowds easily. Maybe you prefer to observe before you act. That is not weakness. That is one of your greatest strengths. It means you think deeply, you process faster, and you are not carried away by noise. This quiet way of operating is what sets Sigma males apart. You do not waste energy trying to impress. You conserve it to build, to strategize, and to protect yourself from the games people play. What many fail to understand is that Sigma intelligence is not loud, but it is lethal. It comes from being able to detach from distractions, analyze human behavior, and create solutions others would never imagine. People often fear what they cannot control, and your mind is one of those things. If you recognize yourself in this, remember it is not a curse, but a gift. Use it wisely. Stay patient with your journey. And make sure you watch this video till the end, because the truths we are about to uncover will remind you just how powerful you really are. Number 1. They reverse engineer failures, not just to avoid repeating them, but to understand the architecture of collapse itself. Most people hate failing. They bury their mistakes, pretend it never happened, or move on without looking back. But a Sigma male treats failure like a puzzle. He does not just patch the hole and walk away. He takes the whole thing apart, piece by piece, to see why it broke in the first place. He wants to understand the architecture of collapse itself. Think about it. Most people treat failure like spilling coffee on a shirt. They rush to wipe the stain, maybe change the shirt, and carry on. A Sigma male is the guy who asks why the coffee spilled in the first place. Was the table shaky? Was the cup poorly balanced? Or did you simply overfill it because you were half awake? He studies the entire chain of events until the answer is crystal clear. This way of thinking is terrifying because it means he does not fear mistakes. He actually mines them for gold. While others are licking their wounds, he is already learning how to build something stronger, smarter, and far harder to break. Imagine someone who failed at a business deal. Instead of crying about it, a Sigma male rewinds the whole thing in his head like a movie. He checks the weak handshake at the start, the nervous hesitation in his words, the contract detail he ignored, and the overconfidence of his partner. By the time he is done, he has a blueprint of why the deal failed and how to ensure the next one is untouchable. That is the kind of intelligence that unsettles people. It is not reactive, it is forensic. He is not just dodging the same mistakes in the future, he is predicting other collapses before they even happen. And the scary part is he does it quietly, without bragging, which means you only realize how sharp his mind is when you are already playing catch-up. Failure is a classroom, and while most people skip class, the Sigma male takes notes, asks the tough questions, and leaves with answers nobody else thought of. That is why his intelligence is not just smart, it is terrifying. Number 2. They do not argue to win approval, but to expose blind spots that others never dared to consider. Most people argue to win. They want the last word, the loudest clap, or that smug look of, "I told you so." But a Sigma male argues with a completely different agenda. He is not chasing applause. He is not waiting for anyone to crown him the smartest person in the room. His goal is far sharper, to reveal the blind spots nobody else dares to look at. Picture a group of friends debating whether money can buy happiness. One person says yes, another says no, and they go in circles. A Sigma male will throw in something like, maybe the problem isn't money or happiness, maybe it's how people confuse buying comfort with buying meaning. Suddenly the room goes quiet. He is not trying to win the debate. He is shining a light on the dark corner everyone ignored. That silence is not him claiming victory. It is everyone realizing they never thought of it that way before. This is why arguing with a Sigma male feels different. He does not raise his voice because he does not need to. He lets logic do the heavy lifting. Sometimes he even asks questions instead of making statements. But what if the opposite is true, he'll say. And just like that, your confident argument starts wobbling like a cheap chair. Here is the funny part. People often walk away from these conversations thinking about what he said for days. It creeps into their shower thoughts, interrupts their Netflix binge, or sneaks up while they are stuck in traffic. That is the effect of someone who is not arguing to win, but to force you to see what you missed. It is terrifying in the best way, because once he exposes that blind spot, you can never unsee it. You start questioning other things in your life, realizing how much you accepted without thinking. And that is the real power of a Sigma male's intelligence. It does not leave you clapping for him. It leaves you rethinking yourself. Number 3. They adapt knowledge across fields, applying lessons from one domain into another, where nobody expected it to fit. Most people treat knowledge like a box. Work stuff in one corner, personal stuff in another, and hobbies somewhere else. A Sigma male does not do boxes. He sees connections where others see walls. He takes an idea from one field and drops it into another, and suddenly what looked ordinary becomes groundbreaking. Take cooking, for example. Most people just follow a recipe. A Sigma male might borrow a trick he learned from fixing cars. Maybe he notices that just like an engine needs the right balance of oil and fuel, a dish needs the right balance of fat and acid. Suddenly, his steak is perfect every time, not because he is a master chef, but because he connected dots nobody else thought belonged together. This habit of cross-pollinating knowledge makes his intelligence terrifying. Imagine someone who reads about chess strategies and then uses those patterns to negotiate a business deal. Or someone who studies how plants adapt to survive in harsh environments and applies the same principle to managing stress at work. While others are busy trying to master one field, he is pulling wisdom from everywhere like a mental toolbox. It is a little like watching a magician, except there is no magic, just sharp observation and the nerve to ask, what if this works here too? And more often than not, it does. That unpredictability is what throws people off. You think you are arguing with a regular guy about sports, then suddenly he drops an insight from psychology, history, and biology all in the same breath, leaving you blinking like you just got hit with 3 plot twists in a row. The brilliance is not that he knows everything. It is that he knows how to move knowledge around like puzzle pieces until the picture makes sense. That ability is rare. It is unsettling. And it is exactly why Sigma intelligence feels less like book smarts and more like a weapon hidden in plain sight. They see through collective thinking and are immune to group pressure because their logic does not bend for comfort. Most people bend when the crowd leans one way. They nod along even if something feels wrong, just to avoid being the odd one out. A Sigma male does not play that game. He sees through collective thinking like glass. Group pressure bounces off him because his logic is not built for comfort, it is built for clarity. Think about the classic example of a group of friends deciding where to eat. Everyone says pizza, even though half of them secretly hate it. They just go along because it is easier. A Sigma male will calmly say, actually, pizza makes no sense. We had it yesterday. Let's not pretend it suddenly tastes like a new invention. Everyone laughs, but he just saved them from another bland dinner. This independence of thought shows up in bigger situations too. Imagine a workplace meeting where everyone agrees to a flashy idea that looks good on paper but has holes big enough to drive a truck through. Nobody speaks up because they fear looking difficult. A Sigma male will cut in and say, hold on, if we push this plan, it collapses the second reality hits. Do we want applause now or results later? Suddenly the shiny idea does not look so shiny anymore. The reason this intelligence feels intimidating is simple. Comfort zones are built on collective agreement, and he refuses to rent a seat there. He will not nod just to keep the peace. He will not clap just because everyone else is clapping. He trusts his reasoning more than he trusts the safety of numbers. What makes it even more fascinating is his humor in doing this. He might question the herd's decision with a simple joke that cracks everyone up, but behind the laugh is a truth that cannot be ignored. And once it lands, people cannot go back to blindly agreeing anymore. This is why Sigma intelligence unsettles people. It reminds them that going with the flow often means going nowhere. He chooses logic over comfort, even when the crowd thinks he is stubborn. In reality, he is just the one who refuses to drown in shallow thinking. Number 5. They know the psychological triggers people use to persuade, yet they stay calm, watching the strings instead of becoming the puppet. Most people get pushed around by clever sales lines and smooth talk because they react before they think. A Sigma male watches the show. He notices the script behind the script. He sees the scarcity trick, the fake deadline, the slow compliment that is really a setup. He does not flinch. He watches the strings, not the puppets. Imagine a salesperson saying, "This is the last one at this price." Most people feel their chest tighten and their hand reach for the wallet. A Sigma male smiles and asks 2 quiet questions. He finds out that there are plenty more units and the price can be negotiated. The salesperson looks confused because they expected a quick sale, not a conversation. That confusion is the beginning of his advantage. This is not about being suspicious for the sake of it. It is about training your attention to catch patterns. Think of it like noticing when someone always compliments you right before asking for a favor. That compliment is not kindness, it is currency. A Sigma male notices the pattern and either refuses the transaction or changes the terms. He is not angry, he is amused. In relationships, the same thing happens. People use guilt or sudden charm to steer choices. A Sigma male hears the tone, sees the timing, and pauses. He does not get yanked into a reaction. He asks the calm question that flips the script and leaves the manipulator exposed. It is like turning the lights on in a stage play. Suddenly the setup looks a lot less impressive. The scary part for others is that he learns these triggers slowly and quietly. He reads psychology books, watches conversations, and practices small experiments. He is the person who will politely decline an offer, then later explain why it felt off in a way that makes you nod and wonder how you missed it. He stays calm because panic would ruin the observation. Calm lets him map the motive and decide whether to engage, negotiate, or walk away. That composure makes him hard to sell to and harder to fool. In the end, this skill is not about winning arguments or proving people wrong. It is the small power of staying free from someone else steering your choices. And once you can see the strings, the whole world looks a lot more manageable and a lot less scary. Number 5. They anticipate betrayal before it happens, because patterns of loyalty and disloyalty are obvious to them long before words are spoken. Most people only realize betrayal after it smacks them in the face. The friend stops calling, the coworker throws them under the bus, or the partner's excuses start stacking up. By then, it is already too late. A Sigma male does not usually get caught off guard like that. He anticipates betrayal before it even happens, because patterns of loyalty and disloyalty stand out to him like flashing neon signs. It is not about being paranoid. It is about paying attention. If someone is loyal, their behavior lines up consistently over time. If someone is not, little cracks show long before the big break. Maybe a friend always forgets your wins but remembers every tiny slip-up. Maybe a colleague supports you in meetings but smirks when you're not around. Most people shrug these things off as just small stuff. A Sigma male adds them up like pieces of a puzzle, and the picture is clear before anyone else notices. Think about how some people laugh too hard at your mistakes but barely clap when you succeed. That is not harmless. That is a preview of how they will act when real pressure shows up. A Sigma male does not ignore previews. He files them away until the story writes itself. The unsettling part is how calmly he does this. While others are blindsided and saying, "I never saw it coming," he has already created a mental map of who is solid and who is slippery. He does not accuse, he does not panic, he simply prepares. By the time betrayal arrives, he has already adjusted his boundaries or built an escape route. This foresight makes his intelligence look almost unfair, but it is really just disciplined observation. People reveal themselves every day in small choices, and a Sigma male refuses to ignore those clues. Betrayal may shock others, but to him, it is only the final act of a play he already figured out in the opening scene. Number 6. They understand that intelligence is not just about having answers, but about asking the questions that make answers collapse. Most people think being smart means always having the right answer. quick responses, clever facts, and sharp comebacks. But a Sigma male knows that true intelligence is not about filling the air with answers. It is about asking the questions that make those answers collapse under their own weight. Think about a debate in school or at work. Someone confidently presents their idea with charts and long explanations. Everyone nods, impressed. Then a Sigma male raises his hand and asks one quiet question. What happens if the opposite is true? Suddenly the room shifts. The confident answer starts wobbling. People glance at each other, realizing they never considered that angle. It is not about showing off. It is about cracking open assumptions people thought were solid. This is what makes Sigma intelligence unnerving. He is not chasing quick applause. He is testing the foundations. If a building is strong, it will stand. If it is weak, one sharp question makes the whole thing crumble. That is why his presence in discussions can feel like playing chess against someone who sees the trap 5 moves ahead. Here is a simple, everyday example. Someone says, money buys happiness. Most people argue yes or no. A Sigma male might ask, if money truly buys happiness, why do the richest people in the world need therapists? That one question flips the whole debate. Suddenly, the flashy answer looks shallow. The power here is not in having endless facts, but in cutting through illusions. Answers make people feel safe, but questions are what reveal the truth. And Sigma males are masters at asking the kind of questions that stick in your head for days, bothering you in the shower or while you are trying to sleep. That is why their intelligence feels so dangerous. They do not just challenge what you believe, they challenge how you believe. And once a belief collapses under the weight of one of their questions, you cannot rebuild it the same way again. Number 7. They carry their intellect like a concealed blade, rarely flashing it, but once it cuts, everyone realizes they were never safe. Most people who think they are smart make sure everyone knows it. They brag, they argue loudly, they flex their knowledge like a shiny toy. A Sigma male is the opposite. He carries his intellect like a concealed blade. It is hidden most of the time, tucked away where no one sees it. He does not swing it around for attention, but the moment he uses it, the impact is unforgettable. Imagine sitting in a meeting where everyone is tossing around half-baked ideas. The Sigma male sits quietly, listening, not interrupting, not competing. People assume he has nothing to add. Then, when the conversation reaches its peak, he drops one sharp observation that slices through the confusion and exposes the flaws no one noticed. The room goes silent. That silence is not respect at first. It is shock. It is the sudden realization that he was 10 steps ahead the entire time. This is what makes his intelligence so unsettling. It is not loud, it is precise. Think of someone carrying a pocket knife. You forget it is even there until it is pulled out, and then you realize how vulnerable you always were. A Sigma male's mind works the same way. You underestimate him because he does not constantly flash his intelligence, but when he finally speaks or acts, the precision of his insight leaves people scrambling. It is also why he does not waste time proving himself. He knows intellect is not measured by how often you use it, but by how effectively. One cut from a concealed blade can end a fight faster than 1,000 wild swings. And here is the funny part. People who underestimate him often regret it the most. They mistake his silence for weakness, then find out the hard way that his quiet was never empty. It was aim. By the time his intellect cuts through the noise, everyone realizes they were never safe from it in the first place. Number 8. They do not rely on surface logic alone, but can track hidden motives in conversations the way hunters track footprints in the forest. Most people only listen to the words being said. They take sentences at face value, nod politely, and move on. A Sigma male does not stop there. He listens to what is spoken, what is skipped, and even how it is wrapped. He does not rely on surface logic alone. He can track hidden motives in conversations the way hunters track footprints in the forest. Think about it. A hunter does not just look for the obvious paw print in the mud. He notices the broken twig, the shift in the grass, the silence where there should be birdsong. Each clue is small, but together they reveal the path. A Sigma male uses that same skill with people. Maybe someone says, "I was just checking in," but their tone is sharper than their words. Maybe a coworker compliments your idea, but quickly adds a suggestion that quietly makes them look better. Most people brush past these details. The Sigma male notices everyone. This ability makes him unsettling to deal with because people sense he is catching things they thought were hidden. He is not reading minds, but he might as well be. If someone tells a story and skips the part that matters most, he files it away. If someone laughs at the wrong moment, he notices. If someone's kindness shows up only when they need something, he marks it down like a tracker noting signs of movement. An everyday example is simple. Someone says, "I don't care about credit," while glancing around to see who is listening. Most people hear the words. The Sigma male catches the glance. He knows the real story is not in what was said, but in what slipped out when they thought nobody noticed. That is why conversations with him can feel exposed. He is not interrogating anyone. He is simply tuned into the details most ignore. And once you start seeing the footprints he sees, it becomes impossible to ever hear people the same way again. Number 10. They treat information like currency, knowing when to spend it, when to save it, and when to weaponize it. Most people treat information like small talk. They spill it out without thinking, share secrets too quickly, or brag about what they know just to feel important. A Sigma male plays a completely different game. He treats information like currency. He knows when to spend it, when to save it, and when necessary, when to weaponize it. Picture someone at work who blurts out every idea the moment it comes to mind. At first it looks like confidence, but soon their ideas are stolen or dismissed because they never learned timing. A Sigma male, on the other hand, might sit back quietly during the meeting, letting others talk themselves in circles. Then, at the perfect moment, he spends his information. One sharp comment that cuts through the noise and puts him ahead. Everyone wonders why they never thought of it before. He also knows the value of saving information. Just like you would not spend all your money in one day, he does not spill everything he knows at once. If someone asks too many questions too quickly, he gives just enough to satisfy curiosity without exposing the whole picture. It is not secrecy for the sake of mystery, it is strategy. And then there is weaponizing. This is where people truly underestimate him. If someone tries to manipulate him, he already has mental notes of things they said, things they hid, and things they thought he missed. At the right time, he can drop that information like a hammer, not out of pettiness, but to defend himself or shut down games before they escalate. This approach makes his intelligence terrifying because it is not chaotic, it is calculated. Every piece of information has weight. Every word he shares has timing. While others are wasting what they know, he's investing, trading, and when pushed, striking. That is why talking to him often feels like sitting across from someone who has already done the math long before you even noticed there was an equation. Conclusion. The sharpest minds are often the quietest weapons. That line could easily describe the Sigma male. His intelligence is not terrifying because he shouts it from the rooftops or forces people to notice it. It is terrifying because it works silently, beneath the surface, in ways that cannot be predicted or controlled. He sees what others miss, asks the questions others avoid, and processes life without being blinded by noise. That is why people often underestimate him, until they realize he was 10 steps ahead the whole time. If you recognize yourself in these traits, understand this. You are not difficult, you are not strange, and you are certainly not broken. You are operating on a different frequency. The very things that make others uneasy about you are the same things that make you powerful. Your ability to cut through lies, to see patterns before they unfold, and to think independently is not a burden. It is your gift. Yes, it can feel isolating when people do not understand your perspective, but that is the price of clarity. Not everyone is meant to see the world as sharply as you do. And while others may get lost in the comfort of illusions, you carry the strength of truth, even when it is uncomfortable. So hold on to that gift. Use it wisely. Refine it instead of questioning it. Your intelligence is not just about surviving in this world, it is about seeing it for what it really is. Now, if you are ready to discover just how deep this rabbit hole goes, stay with me until the very end of this video. Because what comes next will not just explain why Sigma male intelligence is truly terrifying. It will show you why embracing it might be the best decision you ever made. Thank you for watching, and God bless.